So you're going to Jordan and want to take your drone, but you're unclear on the rules. When we were getting ready for our trip, I was surprised to read in an otherwise reliable blog that drones are illegal in Jordan. I found that hard to believe, partly because the author seemed to even write the word drone with a bad taste in her mouth. Kind of like a wife who hates golf telling her golf-addicted husband that golf is illegal in Scotland. Sure enough, in no time at all, I was able to ascertain that drones are 100% allowed in Jordan, as long as you're willing to jump through some hoops. I've found that a lot of the time, if you're just willing to communicate, doors will open. Keeping in mind Jordan's sensitive location with borders on Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Syria, a nearby civil war and the resultant refugee camps, I can totally understand why they might not want to mess around and allow the wrong drone into the country. So, I was super happy to learn that all I had to do was contact the Civil Aviation Regulatory Commission, their equivalent to our FAA, whom I've had plenty of experience dealing with. I found the Drones Operation Approval application form on the CARC website. This was the first hoop I prepared to jump. But they wanted such specific details. Which days did I plan to fly, and from what time until which time? In what location? GPS coordinates, please, and for how many days, etc. So, on October the 7th, 2021, I emailed the CARC. I opened with a paragraph explaining my drone bona fides, then I said, I have seen the Drones Operations Approval application form on your website, but I have some questions. I am a recreational user, so I do not know what specific days, times, and locations I might want to fly the drone. I want to follow your rules and regulations, so I'm not sure how to obtain permission, considering that I do not have all of the information requested by the application. Any assistance you can provide would be greatly appreciated. The reason that I specified myself as a recreational user is that Jordan is a hotbed for feature films and other big budget productions. I wanted to be clear that I had nothing to offer them in the way of revenue. 3 days later, on October 10th, a CARC engineer replied, saying, kindly note that an initial approval needs to be granted from the Ministry of Interior to enable you to bring or fly a drone in Jordan. Upon receiving the initial approval from the concerned ministry, CARC will accordingly take necessary actions. Okay, time to take my request to the Ministry of the Interior. That same day, October 10th, I sent them a similar email, this one adding, I first contacted the Jordan Civil Aviation Regulatory Commission and was informed that I must first obtain approval from the Ministry of the Interior. That first email to the MOI never received a reply. 6 days later, I sent an email to the Visitors Bureau explaining that I had already contacted the CARC and the MOI without success. I didn't even ask the random info address for an answer. It was just a shot in the dark that they might know the name of a person at the CARC or MOI. Their response was, good day. Please note that it would be easier for you to contact the Royal Film Commission in regards to gaining the proper permits for the drone. Please find their contact information in the link below. The Royal frickin' Film Commission? Really? Okay. So, I emailed them right away on the 16th and again on the 20th. Neither of these received a reply. But why would they? I wasn't claiming to be a filmmaker. Also on the 20th, I sent another email to the Ministry of the Interior. Our trip was 2 weeks out at this point, so the silence on the other end was getting unnerving. That email to the ministry also went unanswered. The next day, October 21st, I was able to contact the CARC again, but this time through their air clearances section. I pointed out that I was getting nervous since no one had really replied and our trip was less than 2 weeks away. My new friend Akram very politely sent the following message. Please note that an approval needs to be obtained from the Ministry of Interior prior to any other action taken by any entity to enable you to fly a drone in Jordan. Accordingly, CARC will not be able to provide any assistance in this regard at the moment. Are you following this? Every place I contacted sent me back to the place that had sent me to them, or to yet another entity, passing the buck, playing hot potato. But not one of them ever told me that drones are illegal in Jordan. So on October 25th, I emailed the American Embassy, just in hopes of a response. Their unsigned, one-sentence reply might be the best part of this story. Greetings. The embassy cannot assist you with your request. You need to contact the Jordanian authorities to get approval. Bottom line is this. Without permission, you can't bring a drone to Jordan. My first thoughts were of the sensitive borders and those refugee camps. You can't just let every Tom, Dick, and Harry bring UAVs into your country when you're the oasis of stability. I was very much looking forward to recording some amazing aerial footage of our visit, but no one from the MOI was coming forward. This is my favorite part of this story when I tell it to our fellow Americans. To nearly a person, they insist that they would have just taken their drone anyway. And this response makes me want to follow that person when they travel. The Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan made it very clear that I was not allowed to bring my UAV into the country without express written permission, which means literally a piece of paper to show to the guards at the airport. I wasn't able to obtain that permission, so I left my drone at home. As you've heard, I asked permission several times via several methods. During that process, I gave them most of the information that's on my passport, because guess what? They'd be getting that information upon my arrival anyway. In the 16 days we were in Jordan, my backpack was inspected hard at least 4 times. And I'm fine with it. Those emails clearly landed my name in a database. Jordan isn't some backwater, inconsequential country with no technology. Far from it. So no doubt I was flagged in the customs system. I'd even told them when I was coming, so the moment my passport was scanned at the entry point, it's easy to imagine my photo being forwarded to security positions, at baggage claim and the exits. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it just makes sense. I was smart enough to not bring my drone. Please let me be in line behind the dick who thinks being American means the rules don't apply. I love watching those people during the find out phase. Jordanian officials will confiscate your drone if you don't have that permission slip. I promise you. No amount of protestation or demands to talk to a supervisor are going to make a lick of difference. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to learn that there's a club made up of airport cops that meets on the weekends to race drones in the desert. So what does all of this mean? Am I saying that they'll never let anyone bring a drone to Jordan? No, I'm not. If I felt like that, this would be the clickbaitiest video ever. As I mentioned before, I think there could be many reasons the Jordanian government would want to keep close tabs on who's bringing UAVs into the country. Sensitive borders, refugee camps, etc., which is probably why they initiated the application process in the first place. But I think there was an even more pressing matter in our case. When we visited, borders around the globe were just starting to open up. The volume of people traveling was still far below normal, and in most cases, masks were still required in close proximity to others. I'm willing to bet that the Ministry of the Interior was operating at reduced capacity when I contacted them. Same with the CARC. If those entities weren't understaffed, I know for sure the airports were. So it's 100% plausible that they were just letting drone requests go unanswered to not have to deal with the additional headache. And I'm fine with that. If we return to Jordan one day, which I very much hope we will, I will absolutely have another go at getting drone permission. I just don't believe that they would bother blowing smoke on this issue. If there were a blanket ban on drones, they would just say so. So, my final advice to you is this. Start the process as far ahead of time as possible and be persistent but polite. And if you don't get written permission, leave the drone at home. When I say they will confiscate it, I mean permanently. You will never see it again. And yes, Karen, they can do that. You're bringing contraband into their country. Now I know this was a bit of a niche video, but if it keeps one person from losing their drone, it was worth it. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Next up is episode 1 of our Jordan series, Amman. Thanks as always for watching. See you in the next one.